Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today we're going to be doing lots of pruning. I'm going to start today by working on my Birds Nest Spruce. The normal technique for a spruce is, as the new shoots elongate in spring, you pinch them back, just leaving a little bit of the new growth, and that keeps the tree nice and compact. I'm doing an experiment. I let all the new shoots grow out, I let them mature, and then I'm going to prune them back. My goal for this spruce is to get 2 flushes of growth this season. So I let the shoots grow long, giving lots of needles, lots of sun hitting the tree, creating energy into the roots and the trunk and the branches. So the tree is really vigorous now. It's really healthy looking. And you can see on some of the shoots, there's new buds forming and new growth will be pushing out soon. So the tree is ready to put out a second flush of growth. I don't want the new growth to be out at the tips here. So today I'm going to prune the tree back, leaving just a little bit of my new growth. And then I hopefully will get all kinds of budding around the tips, and I'll get a second flush of growth for this season. I'm going to start the pruning now. And the only new shoots that I wouldn't prune back, just leaving a little bit of the new shoot, is a shoot that I wanted to extend. So some of these hanging branches down here, I want to grow those, and I'll prune off the ones that are uplifting. So eventually these, branches up top here will be replaced by the drooping ones. So yeah, when I'm pruning these new shoots, I've got to be selective. Only pruning the ones that I want to knock back, leaving the ones I want to grow with vigor to extend. So I'll start the pruning now, and I'll start on these upward branches, pruning them back. Here's the first branch I'm going to prune, and if you look on the branch, there's a visible bud right here, there's one here, there's one at the tip, and that's about it. I'm going to ignore the visible buds. I'm just going to prune it back short, and at the base of every needle is a dormant bud that can form. So here I go. I'm going to prune this one back. I'm going to leave about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a few needles about to here. I'll count the needles after, like that, taking the tip off. So there is, let me count the needles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's about 11 of the new needles on that shoot still. Some of the shoots, like this one, I've got the one branch, it comes out, it divides from 1 into 3. So I'll definitely keep that drooping part of the branch, and I'll keep, this branch so it divides into 2. But this vertical one, I can take it right off. Like that. Just clean that up a bit. Like that. So now that branch divides from 1 to 2, and I've picked my 2 best branches. Here's where I just pruned, right here. This branch. Underneath is more of a hanging branch that I want to gain vigor, so I'm not going to touch that branch. And eventually I'll replace this, I'll prune off this branch and develop this one because it's, hanging down more. I couldn't do it now. If I were to prune this whole branch off at the top, it would be very risky. There's a good chance that branch could die back, so because it's so thin and all the energy from the branch is going up into these ones. So I gotta let this branch get stronger before I start pruning this one back or eliminating it. So here's a vertical shoot here I'm gonna take off. There's another one kind of sticking up here I can take off. Like that. So now on this branch, it comes out here. I've got some sub-branching here, which is fine. At the tip here, I've got 3 branches. I've got a little short one here, 2 nice flowing ones. So I'm going to get rid of that short one because it interferes with the branch beside it. Like that. And then I've got to prune these branches back. Everything else on those branch structures looks good. So I'll again prune it back, keeping just a few needles on each shoot. like that. So that's got this branch pruned up now. I'll be working on the branch beside that one next. And there's a shoot sticking up vertical and kind of coming back towards the tree, so I'll eliminate that one for starters, like that. Now, again, I have kind of a branch underneath here that's hanging. That will be my branch eventually. So I've got to give that light. So you can see here, this branch, it comes out and divides into 3. So I'm going to keep these 2 branches and eliminate this one, which is shading out the hanging branches. So this branch is going to go off completely. So here I go. Like that. Now you can see all the light that can get down to these more drooping branches. And they won't get pruned because I want them to strengthen up. So that's my pruning strategy on the spruce tree. So I'm going to keep working away at the tree, getting all that new growth pruned back. I'm trying to prune between the needles. That way you eliminate kind of browning at the tips. Because once these shoots have hardened off like this, you can't pluck them with your fingers. In spring, when the growth is really soft, you can just pluck them with your fingers, which is a lot easier. When I've completed this initial pruning, I'll come back and look at the design of the tree, see if there's any branches that need removing or correction. If the shoot is a little weaker, I leave a little more of the needles on it. I don't prune it back quite as short, so you kind of judge the vigor of the branch and then decide where to prune it. Some of the older needles in here are going brown and they'll fall off soon. I may have to do some sorting out in this apex. There's a lot of kind of crisscrossing branches, which is just how these bird's nest spruce grow. That's why they call them a bird's nest spruce, because they just kind of grow anywhere, kind of make a bird's nest. I finished the initial pruning back of the tree. Now I'm going to stand out front and have a good look at it and decide what branches need to be eliminated. I'm having a look at the tree from the front now. So over on the right hand side here, I have some nice cascading branches there. However, there's part of it that's kind of going up. There's a little branch kind of growing up here I can remove. There's a couple of upright branches at the tip here I can take off also. That looks a little better in that area. I've got a few branches coming straight out from the front here. I think those need to be removed. Now I just shortened it back, but I still don't really like that. Should I take it off? I think it's got to go off. I think you've got to see a little bit of the trunk line there. And I think, yeah, that's better. You can see the trunk line a bit. I'm wondering about this branch here. I think that one has to go. Yeah, I like that better. You can see that trunk line a bit more. And I think, you know, as this branch here fills in a bit, it'll hide a bit more of the trunk line. I don't want it, you know, totally exposed, but there's a few branches I need to clean up in that area. They're just kind of growing a wrong direction. Yeah, that's a little better. I'm above that branch now, and you can see there's a bit of clutter in here. I've got a lot of branches kind of crisscrossing. There's one growing from way back here. I've got better hanging branches below, so I'm going to take this one right off. I'll clean up this transition a bit, like that. And then, yeah, this one's a little awkward the way it crisscrosses over here. I better leave it on for now, and then maybe I can develop the branch further in this direction. But it's kind of shading out that branch below, which, you know, there's two good branches here. It could be shortened, that branch. Tough decision. Maybe I could eliminate that branch totally and just grow it more compact. Let me see what it would look like in the front view. Here's the front view. So if I eliminated this branch, I don't know. That branch kind of gives a good layered effect. It's got one tier here and another tier below. I think I want to develop that in future, kind of those layers. I think it'll give the tree a real kind of mature look eventually. Yeah, we'll keep those. I think it can be developed into layers in the future. On this tree, I've got a bit of a dilemma. I always left this branch coming out the front, which is, you know, pretty well coming directly towards the viewer. And in the same area, I have this strong back branch and even another one. There's kind of a double branch coming off the back there. So if I were to get rid of that front branch, I think the tree just wouldn't look as three-dimensional. You know, I could eventually grow this branch out into that space, but I think it needs something down lower here. I just do. Even though it's a very strangely placed branch, but it certainly does the job there. I could just kind of prune it up a bit. It's starting to interfere with the branch beside it here. So maybe just a little cleanup on that branch. I'm up top looking at the canopy of the tree now. There's a few branches going funny directions here, like this one. I'm going to take it off because at the end of this branch we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 branches coming from one spot. So this one doesn't flow, it goes 90 degrees to the branch, so I'll take that off. Like that. This one doesn't flow, take that off. Like that. And I've got two nice shoots that are kind of hanging, so I'm going to take off this one and this old one here, keeping my two new shoots that are going a nice direction. I'll just clean up the stub here like that. There's a shoot back here. There's a lower branch and an upper one. I'm going to take that upper one off, or at least reduce it right back like that. I can take this one back a bit more. And this one too. It's looking better in the apex now. There's a branch kind of shooting up here. Like I do want some uplifting branches in the apex, but I think this one's too high. Yeah, I'm going to take this one out. Like that. Alright, let's have a look from the front again. I think it's looking better. There's a few back branches here that I think need a little bit of attention. They're getting a bit out of hand. I'll rotate the tree around to the back and I'll start working on these branches. So there's a branch coming from way in here that's, you know, blocking out the light getting to this lower branch. And I've got to see, do I need that branch? Well, that branch actually does look fairly good in the front view. It kind of, if I eliminate it, there's a fairly large space between the upper canopy and these lower branches. And it's a good transitional branch. So I'm going to keep it, even though it's kind of shading out some of these branches. It looks okay in the front view. So this back branch here, so here's that back branch, and there's a lot going on here. I've got like a long branch from the back that comes out here, and it's kind of in between these branches. So I think I've got to shorten it, and I'm going to go, these needles look really healthy here. This is the new growth, this is last year's, but last year's growth looks really healthy, so I'm going to take it back. Right into last year's growth. Like that. Shortening that branch. I'll take this one back a bit. And this one. This one. There's a branch here that's going a wrong direction, and it's growing at the base of this other branch, so out it comes. Like that. I've kind of got two parallel branches here. I could take the one off, and I will. So now I've got it staggered a bit more. Some kind of insect up in the canopy here. We'll get rid of that. Might have been just a spider's nest, but I don't know. There's a shoot here. It's pushing out new buds. I'm going to just prune it back. Like that. These apex shoots look good. I'll leave those. I think all else is looking fairly good. Everything seems to be getting a reasonable amount of light on it. The shape's fairly compact. I'll take this one back a bit. Like that. And this one needs to come back. Oh, that's a hanging branch. I better leave that one. I think on this lowest branch here, I don't like this part. I'm going to take that off and kind of redirect the branch a bit. Like that. That looks better. There's an upper part here I could take off too. Like that. Yeah. Okay. I've been plucking out some of the older needles where I can reach them, just to keep everything clean so that, I don't get insects in here nesting, and light can circulate through the branches. Yeah, so that's looking much better. Let's go to the front view now. Before I go to the front view, I notice there's a bit of liverwort here I'm going to remove. Get rid of that so it doesn't spread. My goal for this tree is to have that second flush of growth happen, pushing out new growth, maybe midsummer, and hardening off before fall. So I'll keep you updated on the progress of this tree, and we'll see what happened. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So this is one of my oldest trees. I got this when I first started in bonsai, and I was growing it in the front garden. I eventually dug it up and made it into a bonsai, I guess, instead of a garden tree. And it's gone through a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. Branches dying off everywhere. So yeah, this live vein dying off. I think I've got some more dead wood here. I think this vein kind of continues up the trunk a bit, so eventually that'll probably get exposed too. But yeah, it's becoming an ancient old tree, and it doesn't really follow any rules. It's kind of got a strange slanting trunk, but I think it's an attractive tree overall. It's one I always like to look at, and when the new growth comes out in spring, it's just beautiful looking. So yeah, I'd say it's one of my favorite trees. I'll put the spruce back on the bench now, and Ashley sent me some plants in the mail, so I'll show you those. I got this package in the mail yesterday, and I opened it up right away because Ashley, he told me that there's live plant material in here, so I thought I better give it some light. I think this package has been in the mail for at least 3 weeks, and it looks like Customs opened it up, inspected it, and thought, yeah, I guess it's okay. Ashley's from Portsmouth, Hampshire in England. So thanks, Ashley. I'll take good care of these and try and get them growing with vigor. Some of them, They're looking pretty dried up, but hopefully when I plant them, they'll spring to life again. So I'm going to do that today. I'm going to get some fresh bonsai soil, stick the cuttings in it, and see what happens. In the package, I've got Eronium arboreum, tree, mouse leek, green goblin, 4 of those, 3 crassula tetragon, I think, tree pine succulent, and 5 crassula ovata hobbit jades. So that's kind of cool. It'll go nicely with my golem jades. These succulents came in this little styrofoam box, which is a cool little box. So I'm going to put some holes in the box, and I'm going to plant some of them right in this styrofoam box. There is like 100% chance of rain in the next hour or 2. So hopefully I can get everything done today, but if not, there's always another day. I'm going to have to do this fast because I can feel drops of rain already. All right, here I go with a light misting. I better put this on kind of mist. And I think that'll do. Into the greenhouse they go. Let's go have a look in the greenhouse and get some seedling updates. So the forecast has rain every day for the next 7 days. So there's the succulents. All of them. And some of my other small succulents. Scott Winard from Let's Do Bonsai YouTube channel, he sent me these jades. He sent me a really tall jade long ago, and it rotted up from the base. So I took cuttings off the top of it, and here they are. So they've rooted really nicely. So these are the Winard jades. Very cool. This is a cutting off of that one Jock gave me, the part that fell off the top of that big arm-sized jade. These are from a viewer, I forget his name now. Weird to Ya, I think. He sent me these pencil cacti and cuttings, and they're growing. They're growing slowly, but they're growing. This is I think that's the campfire jade that Jock gave me. These are cuttings off of it. Yeah, so I've got a good selection of succulents. There's my crown of thorns there. It's looking good. Lots of flowers coming out on it. Well, here's the arm-sized jade here. So that cutting fell off the top, which is too bad. That's like the one branch I really wanted to continue the trunk line vertical. But, you know, what can you do? You can only try. So on the seedling front, the Jerusalem thorns are just growing spectacularly. You can see all the leaves coming out on them. Really nice, happy with that. The mystery seeds, I've got one, actually, no, that's a Jerusalem thorn. The mystery seeds are here. There's no true leaves coming out on them yet, so I still don't know what they are. But we'll keep watching them. The sequoias, you know how they say don't count your chickens before they hatch? Well, I had one little seedling here that, what happened is it dried out in the greenhouse here a bit, and it kind of flopped over limp. So I watered it, and it came back to life. It stood vertical, but now I think it's limp again, and I think it's just, I think it maybe rotted or something. So all the others are looking good. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them popping out of the soil so far, and the one here is looking really strong. So that's good. They're doing well. That pine from the pine nut, doing really well. I planted some pine nuts last year, and they did quite well. So I'm down. Through the winter, a few died. Spring, a few died, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 really healthy ones. Maybe 5, I think. Yeah, that one's going to make it. It's got a new shoot on top. So 5 of those survived, so I'll be putting those in individual pots soon and developing them further. With all this rain in the forecast, I'm definitely going to have to bring in all my succulents today into the greenhouse. And I'll probably just have to put them on the floor because I'm running out of room. I had my root over rock Scots pine out to prune up today, but I think that's going to have to wait till tomorrow. I'm just running out of time and I think it's going to pour. The rain says 100% right about this time. So I've got a lot of cleanup to do. I've got to get my succulents in. But the last thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to soak my cashews that Patrick brought down to me. I'm going to soak about half of them in water and get them ready for planting. All right, it is cashew time now. So I'm going to soak about maybe a good half of them. Patrick said he had really good luck germinating these, so I think that'll do. And I'll wash my hands afterwards just in case there's any oil on it because it's very poisonous. Yeah, so they all sunk to the bottom except for 2. I'll show you those. All right, let's have a look in the bucket here. There they are. So there's just one floating down here. It's just barely floating. I think all the seeds are good. So very exciting. I'll get these soaking. We'll plant them and hopefully get some cashew trees on the way. It's starting to rain a little harder now. It's starting to wet the surface of the table here. So I'll have to work on my pine tree tomorrow, my Scots pine, root over rock, pruning it back and trying to get a second flush of growth for this season. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.